Steve Irwin died 18 years ago today. Or did he? Hey guys, how you going? Okay, and the other day I wasn't trying to pick on anyone. I've had a few people tell me that the volume is right. I'm hoping I have corrected it now. I had played with it before and I had reset settings, so hopefully you can let me know. I know it's close. It was close the other day, but it should be all right now, as long as I pick up the volume before I play a video. Anyway, thanks for your patience, guys. I appreciate that while I'm trying to work out my sound issues. And I wasn't picking on anyone. A lot of different people have told me, so that's perfectly fine. Don't you worry about that. Okay, we've got a bit of news. Because I was gone yesterday, I had to go and see my mum. So my mum is elderly and not well. So, and funnily enough, my daughter gave me a whole lot of food that I knew I couldn't eat, and it's fresh food. So I had to stick out the front with free on it, and I gave all my neighbours free food. But it's better than it going off. So there you go. Anyway, we got the corrupt in Australia here at the moment. Sorry, before we start, we have the Liberal Party that has been infected with the left. And what they're trying to do, I believe, is they're trying to clean it out at the moment. They have succeeded in cleaning out the Liberal Party in South Australia and Western Australia. New South Wales is really, really bad. A lot of lefties have infiltrated the Liberal Party in New South Wales. So there's just a little bit of an update. They are trying to clean it out. I do know that Pauline Hanson prefers Liberal. So anyone telling you that her preferences are going to Labor, that's not true. It is Liberal that they're going to. And if they could clean themselves out before the next election, that would be great. But I still don't agree with Dutton on the digital ID and some of the things that he went along with. But hopefully if Pauline gets in with, if she gets a lot of votes and she has a preference, she still has a voice. So she can stop things from happening. The other thing we've got is Tim Pool is taking Kamala Harris's team, or Kamala Harris, to court because she used a video of his out of context about Project 25 or whatever it's called. That Trump does not endorse. He has nothing to do with. And I believe Tim Pool, it was either making a joke or they've taken the whole video out of context. So there's that. So hopefully I'm backing Tim Pool on this one. If he's going to sue Kamala Harris, go for it, mate. Do well, please. Okay, now we'll get into the, real news, kind of. Okay, corrupt Obama judge Tanya Chutkin comes out swinging against SCOTUS presidential immunity ruling during January 6 hearing. Are you surprised? I'm not. On Thursday, Judge Tanya Chutkin held a status conference to address the Supreme Court's presidential immunity ruling in Jack Smith's January 6 case against Trump. Judge Chutkin came out swinging against the Supreme Court's ruling on presidential immunity, saying the upcoming election is not relevant. Well, then what about Biden? There's no presidential immunity. What about all the previous? Obama, Bush, you name it, Clinton. Chutkin did not issue a ruling, but she's expected to release a scheduling order as soon as Thursday evening. President Trump and Special Counsel Jack Smith presented opposing arguments for how the J6 case will proceed in a joint status report filed last Friday night ahead of Thursday's status conference. Why is this still going on? Jack Smith is not, as far as I'm aware, able to run this thing. But anyway, the show will go on, Last Tuesday, Jack Smith indicted President Trump again in Washington, D.C., following the Supreme Court's ruling on the presidential immunity. The grand jury indicted Trump on the same 4 charges that were unveiled last August: conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. Wait till this all turns on them. This whole thing, conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. It can be turned on them, you know. Trump lawyers argue Trump is immune from federal prosecution for alleged crimes committed while he served as US president. Judge Chutkan was unprepared, smug and condescending during Thursday's hearing, according to Julie Kelly, who attended the conference. Chutkan repeatedly argued with Trump's lawyers about elements of the Supreme Court's opinion. Judge Chutkan said the upcoming election is not relevant. I understand there's an election soon, Chutkan said. It's not relevant. This court is not concerned with the electoral schedule. It is nothing I will consider, she said. Chutkan also said during Thursday's hearing, I'm not talking about the presidency of the United States. I'm talking about a 4-count indictment. Yeah, made up one. Oh, that's just my opinion, though. Okay, we've got more. What else have we got here? Oh, yes, there was a shooting at Georgia school. A Georgia school. Colt Gray's mugshot released during a disturbing obsession with Parkland massacre revealed. Aunt says he struggled with mental health. Okay, how many of these people struggle with mental health? We have a severe mental health problem around the world, not just in America, but around the world. Okay. Update. The Barrow County Sheriff's Office has released the mugshot of 14-year-old Colt Gray. A horrifying tragedy struck Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia on Wednesday morning, leaving 4 people dead and approximately 30 others injured in a mass shooting. The shooter, identified as 14-year-old Colt Gray, a student at the school, was apprehended by law enforcement shortly after the incident. The violence erupted around 10:30 a.m. just 40 miles northeast of Atlanta and sent shockwaves through the nation. According to reports from CNN and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, 9 of the injured were rushed to local hospitals for emergency treatment. Tragically, 4 individuals, 2 students and 2 teachers, were pronounced dead at the scene. So we got Mason Shamiron, Kristen Aguilo, Richard Aspinwall, and Christina Ermi. Arimi. Gray, who surrendered without resistance to a school resource officer, is now in custody. GBI Director Chris Hosey confirmed that Gray will be tried as an adult for his heinous crimes. According to the Daily Mail, Colt Gray has been charged with 4 counts of felony murder, and the GBI has stated that additional charges are expected. Now the picture of Colt Gray has been released to the public. They always show you a very young person, don't they? This one is more like it. I'm wondering if this person was trans at all. His aunt, Annie Brown, told the Washington Post on Thursday the boy had been begging for help from everyone around him. She revealed that he'd been struggling with mental health issues. What has shaken the public even more is the revelation that Colt Gray harboured an obsession with infamous school shootings, according to the New York Times. According to investigators, the search of Gray's home uncovered disturbing evidence linking the young boy to the 2018 Parkland shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where 17 people were killed. Authorities also discovered that Gray had been involved in a May 2023 incident in which police questioned both him and his father about threatening comments made on a Discord channel. The channel, which had a Russian username that translated to Lanza, a nod to the Sandy Hook shooter Adam Lanza, reportedly included threats of future school shooting. Gray, however, denied responsibility, claiming his account had been hacked. Daily Mail reported police previously asked teen gunman's dad to keep his firearms locked away. Colt Gray, 14, as interviewed in May 2023 by a sheriff's investigator from nearby Jackson County, who received a tip from the FBI that the boy, then 13, had possibly threatened to shoot up a middle school tomorrow. The tip came to the FBI from people in Australia and California who were concerned about comments made by a chat group user on the social media platform Discord. The investigator urged the boy's father to keep his firearms locked away and told him to keep his son out of school until this matter could be resolved. The boy's last day before the summer break was a few days before that conversation. His family has since remained mostly silent in the wake of the mass shooting, although his aunt made an inflammatory online comment claiming Gray had suffered a lifetime of abuse. That post was later deleted after a torrent of criticism. The FBI has confirmed that the 14-year-old Appalachia High School shooter Colt Gray, a student at the Georgia school, was known to the agency as early as May 2023 after receiving several anonymous tips about online threats to commit a school shooting at an unidentified location and time. How many times do we hear about this? They were all known to the agency as much as maybe a year beforehand. Well, maybe not all of them, but most of them are. This comes after we learned that an unidentified individual also warned the high school via phone that it would be the first of 5 schools targeted with violence prior to the shooting on Wednesday. Despite these warnings and red flags, it appears authorities were unable to prevent the senseless attack. Gray is expected to appear in court on Friday, where he will officially be charged as an adult. This also makes me wonder, pre-crime, anyone? Yeah, it appears the authorities were unable to prevent the senseless attack. Well, if they're making threats, they're illegal, aren't they? I'm pretty sure they can do something about that. Whether they want to or not, that might be a different matter. DOJ chief caught admitting in undercover footage that Trump indictments are politically motivated, exposes plot to make Trump a convicted felon and affect his candidacy. I won't read that whole thing, but you get the gist, I'm sure. We have Hunter Biden shocks courtroom, enters guilty plea, avoids trial and faces 17 years in prison. Okay, pardon incoming. Hunter Biden shocked the California courtroom on Thursday as he officially entered a guilty plea as a jury selection was underway for his federal tax evasion trial. Earlier, it was reported that Hunter Biden was going to change his plea to guilty to avoid a trial. In December, Hunter Biden was hit with a 9-count indictment filed in the Central District of California. Tax evasion, failure to pay taxes, and false fraudulent tax return. The charges were handed down by special counsel David Weiss after a sweetheart plea deal on tax charges fell apart last summer. The indictment details a 4-year scheme to avoid the $1.4+ million tax obligations he owed between 2016 and 2019, and to file false returns. Hunter Biden initially entered an Alford plea, which allowed him to plead guilty while simultaneously maintaining his innocence. Federal prosecutors fought back, and Hunter Biden ended up entering a standard guilty plea. Judge Scarzi signed off on the guilty plea, which means Hunter Biden will avoid a trial. And don't forget, remember years ago they said they'll get them on little things first, but bigger things are coming. Hunter Biden shocked the legal and political worlds Thursday as he unexpectedly decided to plead guilty in his federal tax evasion case, just as his trial was slated to kick off with jury selection. Los Angeles federal judge Mark Scarzi accepted the plea from the first son on all 9 counts he faced in a case accusing him of failing to pay $1.4 million in taxes for the years 2016 through 2019. With the guilty plea, which was not part of a plea bargain and which came as a shock to prosecutors, Biden could face up to 17 years behind bars, the same penalty he would have faced if convicted at trial. And I believe he's done that so as not to be questioned more, because it might drag other people in. It's very interesting. Hunter decided to enter his plea to protect those he loves from unnecessary hurt and cruel humiliation. There you go. Biden's lawyer, Abe Lowell, said outside court after the hearing, I do believe that, probably incrimination too. This plea prevents that kind of show trial that would not have provided all the facts or served any real point in justice. He will now move on to the sentencing phase while keeping open the options to raise the many clear issues with this case on appeal. Lowell blindsided federal prosecutors when he told Scarzi earlier Thursday that his client wanted to enter an Alford plea, which would have allowed him to plead guilty but maintain his innocence. I keep tripping up on this word here. A couple of words, actually. Prosecutors, however, balked at the move, considering the massive evidence against Biden. Hunter also knows his father, or Kamala Harris, if she's installed, will issue a pardon. Well, let's hope to God they don't get in. Okay, Underdog report, David Clemens uncancelled. Make your vote be counted. Okay, it's not actually it is? Okay, guys, for the rest of this this article here, please go to Rumble. It'll be on the Rumble video. I'm just not sure that I can talk about elections on here. Okay, and we should have named it what it was. Whoa, Biden goes off script in Wisconsin, admits the Inflation Reduction Act was actually the Green New Deal. Oh dear, now here we get a chance to test the video. Sound. Joe Biden, the alleged president, I like that, travelled to Westby, Wisconsin on Thursday to deliver remarks on his Investing in America agenda. The Biden-Harris regime has destroyed the economy. Biden-Harris tax and spend policies have led to the worst inflation crisis in more than 100 years. More and more Americans are falling behind on credit card bills. US credit card debt has soared past $1.4 trillion as inflation crushes hard-working families. But Joe Biden is out there touting his Investing in America agenda on Thursday and boasting about how it has made communities across Wisconsin more prosperous. What a joke. Wisconsinites are not happy with Joe Biden, which is why barely anyone showed up to see him speak in Westby. A few rows of chairs were laid out for Biden's speech. Emily Fannin said good afternoon from wet and soggy Westby, Wisconsin, about 30 miles from La Crosse. President Joe Biden will be here to announce a $7.3 billion federal investment to produce clean energy in rural communities. Oh, God. There goes $7.3 billion. Yeah. Anyway, things went sideways after Joe Biden went off script and admitted to the so-called Inflation Reduction Act was actually the Green New Deal. The most significant climate change law ever. We should have named it what it was, Biden said. Now watch this. I'm going to test this first before I play it. Okay, I think I've got the sound right.
My investments, through my investments, the most significant climate change law ever. And by the way, it is a $369 billion bill. It's called we should have named it what it was, but at any rate.
Okay, we've got Francis Macron finally chooses new Prime Minister, appoints pro-EU Conservative Michael Barnier. Hard left announces Democratic coup. It sounds like what they've done is Macron has chosen a new Prime Minister, appointing Michael Barnier as the country's new Premier. He's trying to do that to keep out Marine Le Pen, I believe. He's a pro-European. He made a career as a moderate, later toughened his discourse, saying immigration was out of control. He's been a lawmaker since he was 27. During the last 15 years, been working at the EU headquarters in Brussels. Macron has tasked Barnier with unifying France and ending its political paralysis. The discreet Conservative politician will have the daunting challenge of trying to push reforms in the 2025 budget through a bitterly divided parliament under the constant threat of a vote of no confidence. To keep Marine Le Pen's RN party from power, the left now feels betrayed by him, Macron, and making it clear they would be hardline oppositionists. So this is the left turning on the left. They claim the election was stolen from the French people. Hard left leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon said, calling for street protests. Another hard left lawmaker said it's unacceptable democratic coup. We'll see what happens here. We will plead for the major emergencies of the French, cost of living, security, immigration to finally be addressed, and we reserve all political means of action if this is not the case in the coming weeks. Jordan Bardella said, the French market has reacted positively, bank shares edged up, government borrowing costs fell slightly, and the euro nudged higher. His political views are overall close to Macron's, and it was crucial for the French president that his new Prime Minister not try to undo reforms pushed through over the last few years. In particular, pension changes that angered the left. It remains unclear if Barnier will fully try to implement Macron's political agenda or bring in new proposals. He will need, in any case, to negotiate with other parties to get legislation adopted in Parliament. RN lawmaker Laurent Jacobelli said a condition for not voting Barnier down would be that Parliament be dissolved as soon as possible. which would be early July next year. Barnier should also signal support for a change to proportional representation to replace France's system of two-round voting for single constituencies, he said. Well, that's interesting. I may not quite fully understand it, but I do think the left is turning on the left. Serious problem in health. Yeah, I think we know. Washington Commanders fired VP of content after O'Keefe Media Group exposes him for trashing NFL players and calling fans high school educated alcoholics. Forget the truth. James Carville urges fact-checkers to ditch impartial reporting to help Democrats. Wow. What else have we got? Joe Biden pardon incoming. Hunter Biden tries to change his plea to guilty in federal tax case at the last minute avoiding trial. We've got that one. Wayne Root, no tax on Social Security is how President Trump wins the senior vote. No tax on overtime is how Trump wins the workers of America. And here's how Trump wins the youth vote. How does he do that? This commentary will be short and simple. Winning presidential elections is about addition, not subtraction. President Trump needs to build a winning coalition, so this election is too big to rig. He has MAGA, now he needs record numbers of other voters. Yesterday I laid out my recommendations for some creative ideas to add millions of new votes to the Trump coalition. President Trump already has no tax on tips and my idea for no tax on Social Security for seniors. These two ideas give Trump a huge edge with 10 plus million service employees and 60 plus million seniors. I recommend making them retroactive so the tax savings or refunds gets into the hand of taxpayers who are stressed and strapped for cash because of Biden-Kamala Harris, inflation, as soon as possible. Then I recommended a new idea, perhaps my favourite of all time, no tax on overtime. This benefits over 130 million American workers. The bonus is this idea puts America back to work again. It supercharges the economy, productivity and prosperity. I also recommended to President Trump the idea of a military veteran tax credit, rewarding all 16 million US military vets with a $2,000 annual tax credit as a thank you for serving their country. This would look exactly like the current child tax credit given to parents. Now I'm going to add one more group to the Trump coalition, college students and young adults still paying off student loan debt. This group consists of 43.2 million Americans. The Biden-Kamala Harris administration keeps trying to bribe this large voting group by erasing their student loan debt with the stroke of a pen. How ridiculous, reckless and dangerous. And courts rightfully keep blocking this crazy idea. How insulting and offensive to all those who've already paid off their student debt. How insulting and offensive to all those who never went to college to ask them to pay the debt of the people who willingly made that choice and willingly entered into their student loan contract. Pretty much student debt. How insulting and offensive to any American who has ever signed any contract and honourably paid it off. What's next? Government erasing credit card debt? Mortgage debt? Auto debt? Well, I don't know. If the collapse happens, will it just erase it itself? I don't know. So how can President Trump compete for the votes of young adults without resorting to outright thievery and bribery? I have the solution. President Trump should announce when he returns to the White House the government will offer interest-free student loans. This is a fair way to encourage Americans to get educated and at the same time give them a great deal and reduce their burden when paying it back. There's no free ride, no one's breaking a contract. Every student that signs for student loans must repay it, no excuses. But they only have to pay back principal, not interest. This doesn't cost the government or taxpayers a penny. Once the principal is paid back, everyone is whole. The students will be happy, the taxpayers will be happy, everyone wins and nobody loses. And it's such a great deal. It will encourage every young American to take advantage and get educated. We all win. Yeah, that depends on what they're educated on. I think you need to remove some of the fluffy classes, like a lot of the social classes. And of course, President Trump wins. Like the tax cut plans above, it should also be retroactive. These are government loans. The government can do anything it wants. No student loan debt will ever be erased again, but all outstanding loans will be converted to a principal only, with all interest dropped from the contract. Again, as long as the principal is paid back, the government is made whole. There are no losses for government or taxpayers, and there are no free rides. And my idea makes it far more likely that all these loans by 42 plus million Americans will be paid back in full and on time. Here's the best part of all. Trump's winning coalition is now 10 plus million service employees, 60 plus million seniors, 130 plus million workers, 16 plus million military vets, and 42 plus million young adults with student loan debt. Let's see Kamala beat that winning hand. As we say in Las Vegas, that's a full house. There you go. Well, that's interesting, and that sounds pretty good. They need to work their way into all of it, though. Military reform reversing the decline. Gang members meet in Aurora, Colorado, deliver brutal message to Venezuelan gang. You want to see what gang violence is? We invented it. And for optics, President Vladimir Putin revealed he supports Kamala Harris because of a laugh. While speaking at an economic forum in Vladivostok, Putin said he's backing Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election and cited her infectious laugh as a reason to prefer her over Trump. No, they get more favours that way. Putin stated Biden was our favourite, but he dropped out of the race. He recommended that all his supporters support Harris, so we will too. The remarks by Putin come a day after the Department of Justice charged 2 Russian media executives for allegedly influencing the presidential election. Before Joe Biden dropped out of the 2024 race and endorsed Harris, Putin publicly stated he preferred Biden over Trump due to Biden being more predictable, more bendable. Russian President Vladimir Putin said Thursday that Ukraine's gamble to seize his country's territory has backfired by boosting his own military's advance, a boast he paired with teasing support for Vice President Kamala Harris in the upcoming US election. Yeah, see them, this is like optics, right? The Democrat is saying that Russia is interfering for President Trump. Well, President Trump actually Putin actually prefers Kamala and Biden because they're easily manipulated or easily, yeah, you know what I mean. Okay, it was a sacred duty of the Russian army to do everything to throw the enemy out. Okay, they're talking about Ukraine. Yeah, and they'd find that easier with Kamala and Biden. Secondly, she has such expressive and contagious laughter that it means she's doing well. No, I think that's nervous laughter, and contagious, I think people are laughing at her laughing. I don't know. They do that with me anyway. Oh my goodness. And if she's doing well, then Trump introduced so many restrictions and sanctions against Russia like no other president ever had introduced before him. And if Miss Harris is doing well, perhaps she will refrain from doing anything like that, he said. See, more favours. From Kamala Harris, not from Trump. They'd prefer Kamala and Biden in there because they're easily pliable. Okay, guys. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for today. I'm hoping to be live tomorrow. I feel a bit like I'm getting the flu, and I don't know why. I'm taking all my vitamins. But anyway, we'll see how we go. Hopefully I'll be live tomorrow morning here on HevMac and on Rumble. Okay, guys. I hope you have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.